Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Matthew. I'm the founder of the IQPro software. We started our company back in 1999, and so we've been doing this for some time now. What I'm going to do today is give you a bit of an update. Over the last 6 to 12 months, we've been really focusing on making sure our customers are doing quite well. The idea is to run a number of internal competitions and make sure people are really achieving their goals and dreams with the software. We have a lot of people are out there who are looking to make themselves a reasonable level of income with the program in the vicinity of, say, $30,000 to $50,000 a year. Of course, yes, people are making more, but of course it depends on how much effort you want to make. So let's just go through today. I'm going to spend about 45 minutes with you, take you through some slides show you what we're making over the last 12 months, and then we can also look at the programs live, and also show you the membership site, and also talk very briefly about the competition or the challenge that we're running internally in the business, and that's just to make sure customers are nice and successful. So as you can see here, we've just like to start off and letting you know what impact it's made on current customers. So Linda here says working part-time from home. She was looking for an additional income, preferably one that didn't involve the hassles of managing staff, stock and sales. A lot of businesses out there in the same sort of, actually in double, triple or 10 times the price tag, require you to be there pretty much full time, and also manage staff and hire and fire and get a phone call at 5 in the morning, hey boss, I can't come in. That's not what this program is about. This is certainly this is a lifestyle program, and people looking to retire or move into that semi-retirement space, this is a perfect software package for them to keep that cash flow ticking over whilst still keeping active mentally, and of course keeping that bank account moving forward. So Linda here says that she purchased the software in late 2011, has been enjoying trading ever since. We've upgraded the training massively over that time, and so she goes on to say the training is straightforward and the software is a pleasure to use. The customer support, additional training opportunities, workshops, support groups and technical support I've experienced have been exceptional, to say the least. So once a year, me and our head trainer, Peter McConville, we travel to Australia and New Zealand, pretty much every city in Australia and New Zealand, covering off the major new ways of using the software. So we do that as a bit of a tour. People come along, we spend an entire day with you just to make sure you can be as successful as you possibly can, and of course also get the greatest amount of value out of your program. All right, so let's carry on. We've got the agenda for today is we're going to have a quick introduction, which I'm going through now, talk about the sort of money we've made in the last 12 months. Actually, we've just had a few people log in a little bit late. Welcome. And if you want to go ahead and find the question box, let me know that you can see and hear the program, and also the question box is there to ask me any questions as we go along, and I'll just go ahead. I've got two screens here so I can go and check that at any time. So we're going to do a quick demonstration of the program, not terribly deep, because a lot of you have already seen the software, and I can provide you with an email with more information as we go forward, and of course talk about the membership and our agreement with the New South Wales TAB. So let's carry on. So we've done the introduction. Now this is really why people are here. Not many people buy the program with a deep-seated need to run racing software. It's about creating a lifestyle program, creating a bit of extra cash flow, and giving yourself the freedom to not have to be, tied down to customers, stock control, all the things that Linda said earlier. So what we've got here is just a bit of an indication. The last financial year in Australia runs from the beginning of July to the end of June, so that's what I've done here. Of course, we've got figures for July and August, but I thought I'd just make it nice and round with the figures for the last financial year here in Australia. So if you can see my mouse, we started reasonably well with $3,000 in July, and then another $3,000 in August. Had quite a good month, a $9,000 month. Goes to around about 2,000. Now, one thing I did want to bring your attention to is, yes, we've made 48,000 for the year. We did have a loss month, one of the very first loss months we've had in quite some time. Actually, I think over the course of since 1999, what's that, 16, 17 years? Over the course of those years, we've only had about 2 or 3 losing months. And that's quite encouraging. I don't shy away from having a losing month. This is a program that bets on horses. We can't control the horses, but of course we give ourselves the greatest opportunity for profit with the lowest risk. And that's really what we're all about here. So that's the earnings over the last financial year here in Australia. And welcome, Brian. Brian, if you, as I said, welcome, Brian. If you do have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the question box. And yeah, hi, Michelle. I've spoken to you a few times. Glad you could join us today. So the question box is there, or the chat box is there for you to go ahead and ask any questions. This is not TV. I'm not good enough, not pretty enough to be on TV. My job here is to give you some education and make sure that have your questions answered. All right, then let's carry on. So this is from a customer in New South Wales, not Geelong, New South Wales. We've mistyped that actually. Thought I'd fix that. Anyway, it must be an old version of the. I was updating the PowerPoint this morning. Nevertheless, Chamath says an amazing opportunity with the potential of six-figure income. It's certainly the potential. What I just spoke about, which is the $48,000. That's using the program in a very vanilla, very basic way, covering the guidelines that we're going to be talking about today. Unbelievable training program. Successfully running the program for several months now. Has the potential to change my life. It's very encouraging. When you build a piece of software, I built the software. I had a team build the software with me back in 1999, and it was just to help me make money. It was a bit of a selfish thing, but really over time, as we've been selling programs, as customers have really picked up the torch and run with it, we've seen some huge value, and some customers have made well over $200,000, and we've had them record webinars for us, and those webinars are kept in our library and available to customers. So if a customer says, you know what, I want to step up my earnings, I want to see what other really successful people are doing, we've recorded those in a series of webinars and made them available to customers. Because it's not just about me and my company and my support staff. It's actually about a community that's been built around IQPro. The community, for example, that exists in our Facebook group. The community that exists every second Saturday when Peter McConville and I host a webinar online, a live webinar. We interact with customers again, and we really want to go through and set people up for success. We did one this morning actually at 10 o'clock, and we reviewed the previous Saturday where many of our customers would have made well over $1,000. And actually, I'll go ahead and show you that day just as a bit of a reference point. So let's carry on. Demonstration. Let's jump into that. Let me just jump across to the program. Here it is. So here's what the program looks like. Now, lots of you will be familiar with the program. I can see there's about 20 of us here today. So as I said, I will keep an eye on the question box. If you've got any, just dive in. So I started the collection at about 1:45. I actually was doing some stuff with the kids, and so I had to jump in here a little bit later. So only about 15, 20 minutes ago. So that's when the data started coming in. So you can see here, now if you've had any experience with the program, you would know that red means stop. And of course, if you drive a car, you'd also know the same thing. Red means stop, green means go. The guidelines that we teach, that we make available to you, are down here. And if any of the guidelines are breached that you set up yourself, we can give you absolutely some guidance, some training, how to interpret and how to use those rules. But we give you this information, you put it into the program, and the program says, okay, well, it's outside, it's well inside the requirement for this particular area, but it's outside of the criteria for these three. And of course, if anything is red, you don't trade. Now, I'll get to that in a moment. Actually, let's do that now. The field, we need between 8 and 14 horses in the race. Less than 8, that goes red. Greater than 14, that goes red. So 13 is just fine. And dollars on favourite, that's what the favourite is paying for a win. So up here, horse number 10 is the favourite. Now, one thing most of you will recognise and realise straight away is we don't put horses' names in the program. It's not about gambling. Yes, we are betting on horses. I've never shied away from that. You need a TAB account, no doubt about it. What we're looking for, the reason we talk about trading, we talk about investing, is simply to relay that there is a level of discipline that is required to make this a success. Now, the 4 pillars of that discipline is time, 10 to 15 hours a week. If you want to run the program successfully and make money from it, you need to put time into it. And I can see there's a few business owners here. John, for example, has a business, and of course, if you didn't open the shop, if you didn't commit to doing the actions that are going to create success, you wouldn't make any money. Same with this program. Don't expect money to fall out of the sky, but of course it's not the same as having to buy tens of thousands of dollars worth of machinery or stock, is it? It's actually using the program, running it on a day-to-day basis or a week-to-week basis, and making sure you're successful. Now, we just had a few more people join. Welcome. If you do have any questions, just use the question box, and I am recording this session, so don't stress if you've missed the first 10 minutes, but really I'm only talking about the basics. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is the software itself. So we order the horses from favourite to least favourite. So the favourite horse here is paying $4.60, and the least favourite horse here is paying $65.40. So the field is 8 to 14 horses in the race. Less than 8, greater than 14, no bet. So I just had to have a sip of water. So we've got dollars on favourite. Dollars on favourite paying $4.60. We want to make sure it's paying more than $1.80. The pool needs to be greater than $5,000. And of course, being on a Saturday at Rosehill, which is one of the major tracks here in Australia, you're going to find much more than $5,000 more in this race. What have we got? $33,000. The combos. Now that's the program automatically. Once we set the program up to cover a certain number of horses for a first, second and third, the program will then tell us how many combinations there is for that trifecta bet. And that here is 96. Now we don't want greater than 60. If it's greater than 60, that goes red, therefore it's a no bet. And you can see here 96, so that's definitely a no trade. Dollars on top combo. Now we want to make sure there's at least $20 on the top combination. Now with this is really interesting. On some punters, and I've had people ask this question in the past, hey, is this a box trifecta? Well, a box trifecta, for those of you who don't know racing, is simply saying, well, I'm going to put $1 on every, or an even amount on every combination, regardless of the inherent risk or potential payout of that combination. This is the killer piece of technology that we created, or I guess it's more of an algorithm than technology. This program puts a different dollar amount on every combination depending on the risk to ensure you get an even return regardless of which one comes in. So the goal is always to double or treble your money. And so what we're looking to do there is, with the rules that we created and the guidelines that you put into the program, you can actually identify the races that are going to give us the greatest opportunity for profit with the lowest risk. So dollars on favourite at 8, we want at least 20. Now let me show you what those combinations look like. What you can see here is every single combination has a different dollar amount on it. So 10, 3 and 9, 10, 3 and 9 are the first, second and third favourite. If at any time you have a trifecta that wins, that favourite trifecta is going to actually pay out the least. Therefore, we need to have the most amount of money on it. The next rule down, and of course all the way to the bottom, right down here, is 3, 11 and 12. 3, 11 for second place and 12 for third. It's going to have $2 on it. And of course 1, 11 and 12 will have $1 on it. And that brings us to low dollar multiple values. How many of our bets are $1, $2 and $3 trades? And here it's telling us 44.79% of our trades or bets are $1, $2 or $3. What does that mean? Well, that simply means we're spreading our money a bit too thin. If we spread our money too thin, we're not going to make a profit. All right, so I've covered the rules. Let's quickly go up to this grid for some of you who may have forgotten. I know that there's quite a few of you here today who haven't actually seen the program for some time. So we order the horses from favourite to least favourite. Horse number 10's at the top, horse number 7's at the bottom. The favourite's paying $4.60. The least favourite's paying $65. Now what that means is we've got horse number 10's holding 18% of the prize pool. So of all the money that's been placed on this race, at this point in time, 18% of the money has been placed in horse number 10. I'll tell you why that's significant in a moment. The next one down, 16%. The next column over is cumulative percentage, or C percentage. What that means is if you took 18 and added 16, you would get 35. 35 and 12 is 47. Of course, this is going to add up to 100. So why that's significant is because the program, when we fill in our rules or fill in our guidelines, We actually asked the program to show us horses that cover up to 50% of the cumulative prize pool. So the program automatically selects all of these horses for a first place. Now that's going to be different on every race. Is horse number 10's very strong in the betting and lots of money is being placed on it, then we're going to go ahead and see that maybe we'll cover up to 40 or 50% on just one horse. The next column along is what horses we're covering for a second place. So horse number 11 is up to 70%. So we're covering these 5 horses for 70% and all the way down here for 90%. So 50, 70, 90. Just remember that. Okay, so we've got low dollar multiple. So I've covered all the rules. The next couple of columns are not terribly important for today's conversation. If you'd like to call me up and we'll go through it together, I'm more than happy to provide this information to you just as an expansion. So place, we've got horses. Horse number 10 is paying $2.10 for a place, $2 for a place for 3, $2.10 for a 9. WINDIF, UDIF and WUDIF, that's all about the price movement. So horse number 10 has gone down by 30 cents in the last 5 minutes, but gone up in the last update. Not important for today's conversation. The MG column is important. That's going to show us how to choose the horses and how to group them together. The program will actually show us when there is a greater than 1.5 times coverage, gap between one horse and another. Horse number 10 versus horse number 3. $4.60 versus $5.10. What's the difference? It's only 1.11 times, or to say that another way, 11%. We're looking for a difference of greater than 50%, or 1.5. And the program shows us there by highlighting that in red. Okay, so one thing you'll learn about the program is, whilst I'm happy to really expand on all of these and really unpack all of these rules for you, the actual use of the program is much simpler. So don't get stressed if I've left you behind. And please, as I said, do remember to ask a question. I'm monitoring the question box all the time. All right then, so the program, we're going to cover these horses for a first, these for a second, and these for a third. In the black band here, that's every dollar on every horse every minute before the race jumps. So 7 minutes before the race jumps, then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let me just explain this to you. Between the 2-minute mark and the 1-minute mark, exactly $1,048 is placed on horse number 10. And it's not cumulative, because between the 4-minute mark and the 3-minute mark, a brand new $3,525 was placed on horse number 10. All of this will, of course, add up to the amount of money that's in the pool for a win. All right then. So let's carry on. Let's have a look at the next race. And if we don't find any potential winners, I'm going to go ahead and look at what happened last Saturday, just to give you some context. So as I said, today is not to give you a long-winded, boring demonstration of the software. The idea is to frame your understanding of it. If you'd like to have a further conversation with me, I'm more than happy to do that. So remember, all you need to really think about is the rules down here, or the guidelines that we've set in the program down here. Now that's all done through the setup area, and this is how we do it. Trifecta with gallops. We allow maiden races. We've got all of these different particular guidelines you can set in. I don't personally choose to look at distance. I don't really care about the track conditions or weather. Some customers do. And of course we have different rules for greyhounds and harness racing. And of course there's customers out there who use various aspects of the program called percent return, who do very, very well out of the software, and they've got different rules and guidelines set up as well, all the way through to Quinellas and Exactas. That customer that I mentioned earlier, who makes over $200,000 a year, very, very successfully uses Quinellas and Exactas, and that is actually taught by him as a module through our training platform that we've created for our customers. So we do cover quite an extensive range of trading styles, and to figure out what works best for you. Okay, let's go back. Let's get out of here. Let's keep going. So if any of these rules are red, you don't bet. So these are red, no trade. We can click on percent return, and without going too deep into it, you can see there that all of these are green. We need to add to the next red marker. So this is what I would do here. I would add this horse in, remove these ones, and that would be the trade that I would look at. And because we're adding to the next red marker, All of these three horses are being covered. We're covering 48% of the prize pool. All of these are green, and that would be a trade. Really simple stuff, because percent return is simply betting on a horse to win. Program, you've put in the guidelines, or you've put in the parameters. The program's represented that information back to you in a live format. It said, here it is. Now what's interesting is the program reorders the horses not from favourite to least favourite, but actually in money order in the last 5 minutes. So in the last 5 minutes, horse number 8's taken more money than the favourite, being horse number 6. Covering 48% of the prize pool, a 1.7 gap when you cover 3 horses. We decided that we're happy to spend $200 in this race and we get a 50% ROI. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. So if you went to your banker and said, you know what, I'd like to give you $200 and I'd like to get $99 profit in 3 minutes with no tax that I have to pay. Of course, the tax is being paid by the TAB, but you have to pay. They'd probably call in the men with white coats. With this program, really simple stuff. You follow the guidelines that you will learn throughout the training modules and go ahead and apply that with the TAB. So there's the race. So move on to the next race. Okay, all of these are green, so let's look on. We're going to these 3 horses here covered for a first place. But the difference between horse number 3 at $5.90 and horse number 5 at $7.70 is only 1.31, or to say that another way, 31%. We're looking for a gap of 1.5 or greater, therefore we need to add the extra horse in. Once again, we ask the question, is horse number 5 worthy of our money for a first place and horse number 9 is worthy of ignoring? What's the difference between 5 and 9? It's only 1.22 or 22%. Now I know I'm really over-explaining this, but the application of this rule is super simple. You simply add to the next red marker. Where's the next red marker? Well, here it is down here. So I need to add all of these horses in. And you can see these rules or these guidelines you've set have all gone red, giving us a ridiculous number of combinations. Of course, you're going to take it for a first, you've got to take it for a second and third, giving us 336 combinations. The reason we do this is not just because we could go out there and win every race by covering every potential combination. But what would be the result? Well, the result would be a bet layout of $492. Yes, we would win the race, but we'd actually go backwards. So that's why we have these guidelines set in to make sure you're not only trading successfully in winning stakes, but also winning money as well, because that's really the point of the whole thing. Okay, so that's a no trade because these have gone red. Let's have a look at percent return. So this is a interesting, so percentage on favourites, 25%. Well, I highlight that because it's a strong favourite. That reminds me to add it in. The program default setting is to remove the favourite. So I add that in, and where's the next red marker? You ignore the first one if it's on the top line because we need to cover at least 50%, or sorry, 48% of the prize pool. So we need to keep adding horses down here, and we're not going to make our return. So 5% ROI, it's not worth it. You might as well put your money in the bank if you want 5%. Well, actually, much less than that, but I think you know what I mean. All right then, so let's move on to the next race. 6 horses in the race, no bet. Move on. This race is just interim results down here. Means the race, the horses have crossed the line, but we don't have what they call a final result or an all paying or a correct weight result for those people who are in the horsey game. You can tell that a lot of our customers aren't really engaged, enrolled, inspired, excited about racing. It's actually a tool, much like people who might trade BHP shares or telecom shares, probably don't really care about mining or telecommunications. So we'll go, this is a no trade, move on to the next race. This could potentially be a trade, 6 minutes out, but you can see here these are all red. Now these do change as the time goes on, but rather than wait 6 minutes and commentate 6 minutes of data coming through, I'm going to flick over, have a look at what happened last Saturday, because that's going to give you a really good snapshot the whole day in one block, what actually happened. Now we traded all day last Saturday. This is, oh, by the way, everything in blue here are races and days that we've got data on. So we go back to, this is today, last Saturday here, the 6th. You can see here in red, we always show it in red. And of course, some of you eagle-eyed people might have noticed that the races that have already run are in blue. The races that are, see, let's just flick back automatically, and the races that have already run but not having an all-paying result are in orange, and then races that are yet to actually finish are in green. Okay, let's just go back to the, oops, history day. There it is. Let's bring that up as full screen. Okay, so let me just make that font a bit bigger for us. There we go. Okay, so this is the racing from last Saturday. Now the racing began in Baronsdale at 11:15 a.m. This is all New South Wales times. For those people in Western Australia, it's 2 hours earlier. People in New Zealand, 2 hours later. So your race day wouldn't really begin until 1:15 if you're in New Zealand. So quite a big card for the day, they call it. And we actually also collect, just for information's sake, the twilight meeting. So Toowoomba ran until 8:30 at night. I do not expect anybody to run the program for 8 hours in a day at all. Let's just be really clear about that. But we do, in case somebody gets home from work or gets home from kids' sport, starts running the program at 3 in the afternoon. Well, what happens? We need to, of course, keep a record of those races. All right, let's go ahead and click through the races. Keep your eye over here of the rules. Anything in red, you don't trade. So this is a race, no bet. Straight away, boom. You can see it, can't you? No bet. You can see that. Well, the program makes it super simple. Once you set the rules up, once you've finished the training, we make it really easy to use. Okay, so here's a race that could qualify. All of these are in green. So remember, 50, 70, 90. Just keep that in your mind. We're covering 50% of the cumulative prize pool for a first. We've covered down to this red marker. 70% for a second. We've covered down to 70%. So those first and second are just the same horses. And third place, 90% down to that red marker as well. So really super simple, really obvious race, and that would be a trade. Now, I'm not saying that every race is a winner, and of course I use, as I said, I make a bit of make a point to point out the races that haven't traded successfully, and this is one race that didn't trade successfully, and I don't mind that. Following the rules is the true success. We certainly we're learning a lot currently with the Olympics on. It's not about winning every race, it's actually doing your best in every race, following the right technique, following the right system that will yield success in the long run. So that's a race that didn't win. Let's go ahead, and rather than flicking through all the races for the day, let me just go ahead and bring that up. So here's a race, that was the race that we lost there. We won money there, and then we went back up to a reasonably good trading success. So let's find MR5. Let me show you what that looks like. MR5. Okay, so MR5, where's that? So we had to wait a little while, had quite a few trades that didn't bear fruit, and then we at 2:30 in the afternoon. So just remember, I mean, we're talking about 11:45 to 2:30, so about 3 hours. So you've been to work 3 hours. What's that look like? Remember, 50, 70, 90, 50% of the cumulative prize pool for a first, 70% for a second, 90% for a third. Of course, you can perform a cutback if it's over 89%. That's one of the rules. We're looking at the amount of money being placed on each horse. All of these are in green. That's a trade. And the result of that was quite a successful one. The profit on that was actually, we spent $400. We had a profit of $1,600. Now the program automatically switches back to live racing when we're looking at history, if you are running live racing. That's just a feature of the program we've enabled to make sure that you can continually be successful with it. Because the program, you can't make money looking at past races. You can only make money looking at live races. That sounds pretty obvious when you say it out loud, but that's the reality. So that's the race there. We've been working 3 hours. We've had a $1,600 profit. Pretty good. All right then. So let's go back to the Saturday, the 6th of August. Let's go ahead and have a look at the result there. Most of our customers, actually all of our customers, I've got a couple of customers online today, would attest that we constantly are saying to customers, stop trading once you've made over $500 for the day. Because we always talk about What's your reason for using the program? Very few people's reason for running our software or running their own software with using this is a deep-seated love and need to run horse racing software. It's actually about creating some income and financial security for their family. And once you've done that, once you've dug a hole deep enough, you don't need to keep digging. You've done your job. Once you've made $500 or you've made $1,000 for the day, switch it off. But of course, if you did continue to trade, you've got some losses here. You can see some trading losses, and as I said, I don't mind showing the losses. These happen. But of course, at the end of the day, $643 profit if you did run it all day. It's not too bad, is it? All right then. So are there any questions about that? So I'll just pause for a moment, see if there's any questions, allow you guys to type. Okay, Michael. Yeah, okay. So Michael, Michael's question is, how is the? Sorry, let me just read this properly. Yeah. So all of the bets are done through the New South Wales TAB. And so if you're in Australia, that's really easy. You go, well, actually, if you're anywhere in Australia or New Zealand, you go online, open your account, make your initial deposit. In New Zealand, you need to get your identification signed off by a CPA. That's a chartered practicing accountant. In Australia, it's a justice of the peace or a doctor or a chemist or somebody in the community that's known you for some time. So that's how you open up a TAB account. And to draw money back to wherever you are, whether you're in Western Australia or in New Zealand, is you would just go online and make that transfer to a bank account like any other bank account. There's no interest on it, but there's also no fees. Okay, and that usually takes about 15-20 minutes to actually open up the account. You do need to verify yourself, but within 30 days. So you can get started with the program. Let's say you said, Matt, I'm having it. Let's get started. We can get you up and running relatively quickly, get you trading, get you going through the training, and throughout the course of the training, you would be able to verify your identification with the TAB. All right, let's go back and continue talking about the membership. As I said, if you've got any further questions, please feel free to ask them, and I'll go back and identify races that are happening there. So let's go back to this. Okay, so we're at the demonstration step. Let's go through and talk about the membership. So one of the things that we've really prided ourselves on throughout the course of our 17-year history is the quality of our customer service. We've really made a big deal about it. Not just because we want happy customers, absolutely we want happy customers, but we want to attract the right customers. We want to actually make sure that we make a positive impact in the world. There's no point running a business if it's not actually making a positive impact. And this is what we do. We actually, and of course also having great training and support reduces the amount. Let's be really pragmatic about it. Having really great training and support reduces the amount of people who actually call up with things that are broken or call up with problems. We've got a team available. We've got a really amazing portal that is, I think, second to none. Actually, I've not seen anything in the industry like our training portal. Let's go through this. Brian says, the support and training is second to none. Everyone is very helpful. The best part is knowing the program does work, and also that everyone is so helpful and make me feel part of a team by offering involvement in everything that is available. Now, Brian's talking about our yearly training days, our webinars, our competitions, our constant conversations online. We really want to draw attention to our community, because that's why we keep doing this week in and year out, week in and week out, year in and year out. So this is our member section that we've created for you. So we have 4 main areas: help and support. Hey, my program doesn't work, or what computer do I need? User forum, you can communicate with other customers. If you don't want to use Facebook, you can use the user forum here. People also post up their trading systems. People ask questions, we answer them. It's about having that interaction. Also, we have another thing, which is the local support groups. In almost every city in Australia and New Zealand, there's a support group you can join. Once you've trained up with the program, you can go and have coffee with other users of our program. Not because you need more friends, you might, but it's not because of that. It's actually to find other people who are going through the same stuff as you are, who have the same experience, who can form a sense of community around the program and teach each other and hold each other accountable. Same with any business. You know, why are franchises so successful versus other types of business? Because there's somebody holding you accountable to do things. There's a set of rules and guidelines. There's ways of doing stuff that's already been thought about and systemized and understood by, and the learnings from successful people have been integrated into the best practices of the business. And that's what we do here. The training is, well, self-evident. You know, we have a training platform where there's lots and lots of videos you can watch and quizzes you can do, and I'll talk about that a bit more in a moment. And the store, if you want to change your membership, there's different types of membership. If we have an event, you can buy a ticket. You can also do a whole range of things in there. So that's all available to you. So let's carry on. So when you first get hold of the program, you're going to be presented with this is the support portal. Now, when you get started, what do you reckon you should do? Click Getting Started. That's going to give you downloads to use the software. It's going to provide you with the early days things that you need to know, what you need to do. Announcements, pretty self-explanatory. Support groups, we've already talked about that. Let's carry on. Here's the training portal. Really proud of this. We've spent a lot of time on making sure this is the best it possibly can be. So we've got, these lessons here, 1 through 8, these are all video lessons, as you could probably imagine. And if we go ahead and look at lesson 2, for example, the trifectas lesson. Now, we've talked about the trifecta really simply. If you, as I said, you want to know more, just let me know. But here in the trifecta section, we really go into that money gap. You know how I sort of breezed over that 1.5 money gap? Well, here, Peter McConville goes deep. It goes not just saying cover to the next red marker, which I've done. He talks about the why. And understanding the why provides you with the platform to build on so you can start coming up with your own ideas. Understanding the why, how things work, is really, really important. Then, of course, we go into the logic of that. So we don't just say this is what to do, but this is how to think about it as well. We do spend a lot, like we could cover these in a lot shorter sessions, but Peter goes over it and over it. We've actually been complimented by teachers and university lecturers alike who have said this is the most comprehensive training you could do. It takes it slow and steady, provides you with bite-sized chunks of information repeated to make sure you really take it on board. We think of our training as pouring water onto a porous material. If you dump too much all at one time, it's going to overflow. If you pour just enough, it's going to all soak in. And that's how we think about our training. We pour just enough for you to soak it in. You can download some other resources, the parameters and guidelines. You can also then do a test and test your knowledge with our interactive online testing system. So Abe from Melbourne says that he's looked at other racing software and home-based businesses in the past. IQPro impressed me the most. The logic behind IQPro made a quick impression, and I was to see it live in a member's house before buying it. Being a single dad with 3 teenage kids and a little time on my hands, IQPro fits my lifestyle perfectly. I'm happy to demonstrate to anybody who's serious about running their own business because the saying goes, the proof is in the pudding. You can see with your own eyes what it's doing, what it does best. So that's available. And I had a question from a chap this week and said, oh, can I speak to somebody in New Zealand? No problem at all. So really the idea is to provide you with that level of comfort. Now, a lot of you have already spoken to customers, are at that point of saying, Matthew, I'm ready to go ahead. You just wanted this final demonstration. That's fantastic. So let's go ahead and talk about our members' 6-week challenge. These are what we've done is not only when we first started really thinking about the customers and their level of success, I wrote a document called the 4 Pillars of Success. That talks about time, temperament, technology and capital. Time being 10 to 15 hours a week. Temperament, we're not looking for gamblers, we're looking for people who are disciplined, and that's why we talk about trading. That's why we talk about investing. It's not. It's 100% to make sure we're looking for the right type of customer. We're looking for disciplined people, people who can follow a system to make money. As part of that discipline, we've gone even deeper and said, what does it actually mean to be super successful with the program? Well, we've created this challenge. The 6-week challenge is designed for those who are seriously committed, dedicated, disciplined, and ready for some serious and kick-ass training. The challenge will include mentoring from a successful trader. So not only will you be trained by our in-house trainer, but also one of our existing customers who is successful with the program, who has a slightly different take on how to use the software, will also give you some one-on-one mentoring. So we'll also review your data sheet. So every single day that you run the program, we will, you'll send those in, we'll review those and come back to you with slight tweaks or changes that you might need. Support group meetings, you go ahead and join and be part of one of those support groups. And of course, we have a business planning session. This is a business. This is going to give you the income that you want. Now, if you only want to work a couple of hours a week, that's fine. You'll have the income that's in line with what you're after. Of course, as you go, as you sort of cycle up, as you want to make more money, your level of effort and discipline needs to be at a higher level. Like anything, really. You can just imagine how disciplined these Olympic athletes are at the moment. So what I've written in here, this is not for the faint-hearted. What I mean by that is not for wussies, not for people who just want to dabble or dip their toes in. We're looking for people who really want to commit, who want to go, you know what, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to go ahead and make some serious money going forward. We're not looking for huge amounts of hours. We're just looking for that commitment, because that is the baseline of any successful person. So if you want to be successful, you really need to want it. All right, so let's carry on. So that's essentially the program. I really appreciate your time today. We've stuck to our timing reasonably well. Actually, I don't have a clock near me, but I feel like we've been going for a pretty good amount of time. Are there any questions? Happy to leave the lines open for just another couple of minutes to make sure I've answered any questions you've got for me. Yep. Look, if anybody wants to talk to me about coming on board, you can give me send me an email, and I'll give you a call next week. I'm not going to follow up and harass. I will send out the recording of this, but we've been quite blessed with the level of really enthusiastic customers who are referring our business to others, and so I'm not going to do the old sales follow up. That's not necessary with the type of business we have these days. If you want to come forward, I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you and help you come on board. So Michelle's just, what sort of PC specs do I need? Look, anything that's going to be able to run Windows 10, an actual PC. So a Mac will do it as long as you have the appropriate software to run a Windows program. So that means you need a copy of Windows. You also need a copy of Parallels. The program, a couple of our customers bought a second-hand computer. Actually, I bought a second-hand computer a little while ago for a testing module, as a testing machine, I mean, and it was like $400, and I bought it, brought it home, and had Windows 10 on it, and it's fine. The thing that you do need is a reasonably good internet connection. So hopefully that answers your question, Michelle. I like to run with a reasonably large screen because I am looking at the screen for a lot of the day. And so how I get around with that with a laptop is I plug my laptop into a bigger screen. So that's how I've got two screens here today. Is there anything else? No, my pleasure, Michelle. Hopefully we can have a chat this week. If you want to just send me an email, I'm more than happy to talk to you. All right, well, look, everybody, thank you very much for spending some time on your Saturday with me. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you've understood a bit more about the program. We've uncovered some more. And as I said, this is the only webinar I'm doing this, well, since February this year, and I won't probably be doing another one going forward, because we are, as I said, we're really not into, we don't need to push this program on. We get some referrals, and happy to help you out. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, I will send you, I'll put this up on a web page and send you the recording in the next couple of days. Thanks very much for taking your time today. If there's no more questions, yep, okay, no problems at all. Sorry, some people have said I'll email you. Great, I'll talk to you then. Any more questions, I'll take this offline. Thanks very much for taking the time, everybody. Have a great Saturday. Bye for now.